The moment the neurologist's door clicked shut behind my son, the man leaned so close I could smell the stale coffee on his breath. His hands were trembling as he whispered, "You need to get your wife away from your son. Now." Before I could even process those words, the handle turned again. My son walked back in. And in that single second, I understood I was trapped in a room with a monster who wore my son's face. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anonymous Confessions. If you're new here, we tell us stories people are too afraid to say out loud. Take a second to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Your support helps these stories reach people who might need to hear them. Now, let's get into it. My name is Marcus, and I'm 65 years old. For 40 years, I was an architect who restored old buildings across the Pacific Northwest. I thought I knew how to spot a crack in a foundation, how to tell when something was about to collapse. But the flaw in my own home? I didn't see it until it was almost too late. My wife, Catherine, started forgetting things 4 years ago. At first, it was small stuff. A misplaced set of keys, a recipe she'd made 100 times, suddenly foreign. I told myself it was just age. We were in our 60s. It happens. But then my son Ethan stepped in. He was 40, successful, always dressed sharp with an expensive watch and a leather briefcase he never let out of his sight. He told me, "Dad, you travel too much for work. Let me stay with Mom. I can work remotely." I was so grateful. I thought I had the best son in the world. I thought he was saving us. Catherine had been a pediatric nurse for 30 years. She was the kind of woman who could calm a screaming baby just by walking into the room. But watching her dissolve into confusion over those months, it felt like watching a building I had built with my own hands crumble into dust. The doctor said early dementia. We accepted it. Last Thursday was the day everything shattered. We went to see a neurologist in Olympia, a man named Dr. Hayes. My son drove us in his Audi, his cologne filling the car so thick it made my eyes water. When we got to the exam room, Ethan's phone buzzed. He looked at it, apologized, and stepped outside. But here's the thing that stuck with me. The room was silent. His phone hadn't buzzed. I'm certain of it. It was a fake call, a reason to leave the room. The moment the door closed, Dr. Hayes changed. He slid his chair closer to me. His wire-rimmed glasses were sliding down his nose, and his hands were trembling. "Mr. Brennan," he whispered, "I have seen this pattern before. This is not dementia. This is drug-induced cognitive impairment. She is being poisoned, and if you don't act now, it will be permanent." I felt the blood drain from my face. My mouth tasted like metal. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. Catherine was sitting right there, humming softly to herself, completely unaware that her life was being stolen. The door opened. Ethan stood in the doorway, smiling his concerned smile. "Everything okay?" he asked. Dr. Hayes straightened up, his professional mask snapping back into place. But I saw it. I saw my son's eyes flick to the doctor's trembling hands. I saw the calculation behind his eyes. In that moment, I knew. He knew what the doctor had said. And I knew that the war had begun. If you're still with me, drop a 1 in the comments. I need to know you're standing with me as this story unfolds. And if you've ever felt like something was wrong in your own family but couldn't put your finger on it, let me know. I think a lot of us have been there. The drive home was silent, but it wasn't peaceful. Ethan was different. His fingers drummed on the steering wheel the whole way. He kept checking your rearview mirror every few seconds, like he was looking for someone following us. His briefcase sat wedged between the seats, and twice I saw him reach down to touch it, just to make sure it was still there. When we got home, I watched him head straight for the kitchen. He went to the medication cabinet and started pulling out the weekly pill organizer. I had seen him do this 100 times. I had thanked him for it. But now I was looking at it differently. I stood in the doorway frozen while Catherine shuffled in after him. She looked at him with so much trust. She called him a good boy. He handed her the pills, and she swallowed them without a second thought. That night, I waited until I heard the shower running upstairs. Then I went to the kitchen. The briefcase was on the counter. My hands were shaking as I opened the clasps. Inside were the usual things: a laptop, some papers, expensive pens, but I'm an architect. I know when something is off. This case was heavier than it should be. I ran my fingers along the inside lining. Near the bottom, I found a seam that didn't belong. I pressed, and a hidden compartment opened with a whisper of black velvet. Inside, wrapped in a silk handkerchief, was an amber bottle. My heart stopped. I lifted it out with trembling fingers. The label was half torn, but I could read the letters. Diapam, 5 milligrams, veterinary use only. Veterinary use only. My son had been feeding my wife animal tranquilizers. I photographed everything: the bottle, the hidden compartment, the silk. Then I put it all back exactly as I found it. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I was at the library, researching. The librarian, a woman named Emma, didn't ask why I needed to know about veterinary-grade sedatives. She just printed out the studies for me. I read about the symptoms: confusion, memory loss, the same symptoms I had watched my wife suffer through for years. And then I read the line that made my heart race. Cognitive improvement begins within 24 to 48 hours after cessation. She could be saved. If I could stop the poison, she could come back. That same day, I went to see my neighbor Hal. He's a retired homicide detective. I told him a hypothetical story. He looked at me with those old, knowing eyes and said, "Get proof. Document everything. And Marcus, people who poison don't usually stop at one victim when they feel threatened." I walked home with his warning echoing in my head. The next day, Ethan announced he was going to Seattle for work. He'd be gone for 3 days. "Can you handle my mom's meds, Dad?" he asked. I told him of course, but the moment his Audi disappeared around the corner, I moved. I took out the pill organizer. Under my magnifying glass, I found the poison, a tiny white pill marked D5. I swapped them with vitamin B tablets I had bought. I spent hours in my workshop carving fake letters into the vitamins with a hobby knife. My hands were steady. My rage was cold. For 3 days, Catherine took vitamins instead of poison. On Sunday morning, I woke up to a sound I hadn't heard in 4 years: bacon sizzling in the kitchen. I walked out to find Catherine at the stove. She was making breakfast. She turned to me with a smile that reached her eyes. "Morning, sweetheart. Thought I'd make your favorite." She poured her own coffee. She found her own glasses. Later, she sat down with a crossword puzzle. She stared at it for a moment and said, "7 across is Renaissance. How did I not see that?" I sat across from her, tears streaming down my face. My wife was coming back. But the nightmare wasn't over. Monday morning, I heard a car in the driveway. Ethan's Audi. He was home 2 days early. He walked into the kitchen and saw his mother at the stove, clear-eyed and alert. I saw his face change. The mask slipped. He moved towards the medication cabinet, but I stepped in front of him. He looked at me, and I saw the moment he understood that I knew. I pulled the amber bottle from my pocket and held it up. "Want to explain this, son?" His face went white. He collapsed into a chair, sobbing. He told me about the debt. $325,000. Failed investments. He said it started small, just to make her manageable. He said he never meant for it to go this far. But I wasn't buying it. The math didn't add up. A man drowning in debt doesn't wear a $2,000 watch. He doesn't bathe in $100 cologne. That night, I saw him slip on the back porch. I followed. Through the window, I heard him talking on the phone. "He knows," Ethan said. "He found the bottle." Then I heard a woman's voice. Cold, sharp. "Then we need to address that, don't we?" The woman's name was Amanda. I listened to as my son talked about me, about the will, about the power of attorney. And then I heard the words that made my blood freeze. If the father becomes unstable too, who would believe him? Old man losing his mind, just like his wife. Such a tragedy. They were planning to poison me too. I called my daughter Lily that night. She flew in the next morning. When I told her about Amanda, her face went pale. She knew the name, Amanda Cross. She had a criminal record, elder fraud in California. She was a predator who targeted families. We hired a lawyer. We took Catherine for blood tests. Dr. Hayes confirmed it. High levels of diapam in her system. Dr. Hayes called me into his office a few days later. His voice was grim. Marcus, the results confirm systematic poisoning. Your son will not be able to deny the science. But then he handed me another file. We ran tests on you too. You have diapam metabolites in your system. 6 to 8 months of exposure. In your coffee, your water, your whiskey. He was poisoning you too. I sat there, staring at my hands. My son had been erasing me 1 cup of coffee at a time. As we wrap up this story, if it moved you, please hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world to this channel. Anonymous Confessions is here to tell the stories that remind us we're not alone. The trial was brutal. The defense attorney tried to paint me as an absent father. He tried to make my sacrifice for Catherine's medical bills look like neglect. But Catherine took the stand. She was wearing her blue dress, the one for our 40th anniversary. She looked at her son across the courtroom and said, "For 4 years, I lost myself. My son did that." Ethan broke down on the stand. He pleaded guilty to everything. He told the court that Amanda had spent months convincing him his parents hated him. She rewrote his memories. She poisoned his mind before they ever touched the pills. Ethan got 9 years. Amanda got 12. After the trial, they let Ethan out of the courtroom. He paused at the door, looked back at us, and mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." I whispered back, "Goodbye, son." It wasn't anger. It wasn't forgiveness. It was release. The son I raised was gone. He'd have to earn his way back over 9 years of reflection, if he ever could. We walked out into the December sunlight, the 3 of us, Catherine on my arm, Lily beside me. We had lost nearly 4 years to poison. We had lost our son to prison. But we had not lost each other. And the wreckage of that betrayal, that had to be enough. And honestly, that's where it all ended.